Hi, Robin with Oxy-Dry, and today I'm in my garage, as you can see, and I've got my little helper here with me. This is Billy. Billy, what are you doing? Look at that face. He's my helper today. So I thought today I would show you guys something interesting that one of the no, not now, Cato. His name's Billy. One of the comments that comes up when people talk about using the rotary machine and shower feeding is they will say that if you shower feed, all you're going to do is get the pad wet and then wash the soil right through the pad and into the carpet. And you can't shower feed using a rotary machine. You have to either spray ahead or have a system set up on your rotary machine where you would spray the carpet ahead rather than just feeding from the tank. He wants some attention. You silly boy. I'm working here. Anyway, but I'm going to show you something that we're going to do a little experiment here today, and we're going to see just how accurate that statement or belief is. And what I've done is I've got a pad sitting here, and as you can see, and what I did is, if you remember the show Kung Fu we used to be on in the 70s, yes, I'm that old, and the thing was that grasshopper was supposed to walk across the rice paper without leaving footprints. Well, in this case, what we're going to do is I've got a piece of paper towel here, and I'm going to shower feed through this pad, and we're going to see if I get the top of this pad wet. And now what happens is, the way that these machines work is the solution comes through the deck of the machine. On this machine, it's right there. Some machines it'll be over on the other side, but either side doesn't matter. But when it comes down and it drops onto the deck, it actually isn't dropping onto the top of the pad, at least not in here. But what's happening is, as the machine is running, it'll be spinning it out to the outer edge. And now the top of the pad will get wet over here, but the top of the pad all the way across will not be getting wet unless you over wet the carpet. And if you're using this system, a bonnet cleaning, and you're finding that your whole pad is getting saturated, you're definitely using too much. So one of the keys to determine whether or not you're using enough, or if you're using too much solution, is if you find your pad is getting soaking wet, then you are definitely over wetting. You're using too much solution, and too much solution is not going to give you a better clean or anything. It's a waste of solution, and you could end up over wetting the carpet and causing wicking, even with VLM. And in fact, it becomes, well, hardly even VLM, because you can actually make the carpet very wet if you put too much solution down, of course. Billy, leave me alone. Anyway, let's have a look and see what happens. You'll probably leave me alone when this thing turns on. So this is just a standard 175. This actually has 2 speeds, but I'll be running it at 175. And it would be pretty typical for what most people would be using. And we'll just engage it into the clutch. Drop it into position. Lock it in place. Put down a bit of solution. And away we go. Now, if you watch on the floor here, you can see that watch this, I'll turn it on, and a little bit, see how it comes out right away? A little bit on, off. By the way, I did replace this thing already today. I'll show you that in a minute if I remember. So on, off, you can see that what's happening is that there's solution is getting spun out from the front of the machine, actually all around the machine. But as you go forward, I'm just going on, off. See how little I'm actually using, and I'm getting really good coverage onto this floor. Now on a carpet you might use a little bit more, of course, but this gives you an indication just how much actually is coming out when you pull that thing on and off. That's all I'm doing. See that? Watch my finger there. On, off. That's all you need to do. And there's lots of solution coming down. Move over this way. On, off. on, off, on, off, on, off. Now the nice thing about if you use a shower feed system is it's so simple, it's so easy. I mean, every tank you buy for your rotor machine is going to have a valve on it. Put it on your machine, hook it up, and away you go. Look at that. The only place I got moisture was when I pulled the pad driver back. It dribbled right there. That's why that's wet there. But otherwise, it's wet over here, but it's dry. From about here all the way across. It's totally dry. All the way across. These are just drips that came off the pad driver when I pulled back. But that's it. Dry. Billy, is that dry? It is. Yes, good boy. Yes, good enough to sit on? You think so? Billy agrees. See, it is good enough to sit on, so there you go. That proves it once and for all that you can shower feed and you can keep the top of your pad dry so the bottom is getting damp from the solution that goes down through the outer edge and spun out onto the carpet, but the top of your pad remains dry, giving you the ability to absorb and draw the soil up and out. And so the myth of you can't shower feed using a pad and a tank on your rotary is right there, proven to be wrong. You can do it. You do it right. The key is to apply enough to clean the carpet, but not over wetting it. And that's when people, and I've done it myself many times, particularly in the beginning as I learned how to do this correctly. I realized that if I just keep dumping more and more solution on, I can saturate that pad very rapidly by over wetting it, and you don't need to do that. So the secret is to just apply enough solution. It does take some practice. It does take a little bit of technique. You got to keep your wits about you when you're doing it. But once you get into the rhythm and you understand how this works, you won't go back because it is so simple. Now there is at least one manufacturer out there, or two actually I can think of off the top of my head, that do make a rotary with a spray system on. I have tried that myself. I had a machine identical to this a few years ago, and I put a spray system on. I had a switch up on the handle and everything. It was working perfectly, and I gave it a try. I actually did a big commercial job I do regularly with it, and it worked, but I found it quite frankly awkward because as you're moving the machine back and forth, which way do you put the spray? Do you put it so it goes fans like that or fans like that? You know, or a cone. I mean, either way, you're still going to end up with more of a concentrated spot that gets over wetted. I found it just awkward, and awkward to use the switch, whereas with the valve right there, it's at your fingertips, and you can precisely control it. Some guys say, well, when I pull on the valve, so much comes out all the time. Well, that's because you're not thinking about what you're doing. You don't just pull the valve on full. You can just, like you saw me there, I just pulled it on for like a few seconds, split second at a time, and a lot is coming out. If you really are concerned about that, well, you should have one of these shut-off valves anyway, just on your machine. But if you wanted to, you could actually put that partially open and far less would come out, although you really don't need to do that. But I put this on here in case I get something clogging the valve up here and it doesn't completely shut off, and I turn the machine off and walk away and it dribbles onto the floor. But if when I'm finished using my machine, I always have a safety valve on here to make sure that never happens, because it has happened. So I'll show you what I did here. If you saw my other video with this machine, the lever was too low originally, so I went and bought a new brass rod and replaced it, and I rethreaded it and bent it over to shape, and it's in exactly the right position now. Works perfectly. These rods are getting expensive now. That was like each, they're $30 for, where is it? Right over here. I put it over here. What is that, 3 feet? $30, $28 each. I bought 2 of them, obviously. I have plans for another one. Anyway, then I had to just put some threads on it and put it all together, and now it's working perfect. So there you go. Now you know you can absolutely clean using a shower feed system without oversaturating and getting the pad so wet that you're just going to wash the dirt right through. That is a myth. I mean, you can do that, but if you do this properly with the right technique and get skilled at it, you can do this all day long and never have a problem. That's why I normally get a dry time on most carpets of an hour or less. So that's it. Nice and simple, easy peasy, and hopefully that'll give you guys some understanding of how this really works and how effective it is, how simple, and anybody can do it. So anyway, thanks for watching and have a good day.